Hello, this is Pregnant with Lacey. We have 2 months left before the baby comes. So I'm starting to get a little bit anxious about labor and delivery and all of that. So I've just been reading a lot of blogs and things like that and getting myself all psyched up. So I don't have any current cravings, but I'm just hungry all the time. So I'm trying to keep that under control. What I wanted to talk about today was just how I want to approach parenting around race. And yes, I want to plan for that. So I don't want Cruz to grow up thinking with the mentality of being colorblind, that everyone is the same and that he doesn't see color and stuff like that. Because, I want to be very upfront with him and say, there are hella differences. I probably won't say hella, but I will explain to him that, that people are not the same. Should they be treated the same? Yes. But I personally know, and I'm just going to speak on black and white at this point, that the lifestyle, and the thinking and just everything between black and white people is extremely different. So I'm not going to generalize and say all cases, but I'm just going to say from my experience. And I want him to know that. I want him to know and be comfortable with the fact that people are very, very different and that he will be very different and that you have to be kind to everyone. But I don't want him to get caught up in this colorblind idea, So I went and spoke at Viter High School this past week, and a lot of people were like, oh, be careful, and, how do you think the kids are going to be? And it was just like an interesting reaction from my black network. Even though I grew up in Viter, I didn't go to school in Viter. And there's still a very negative perception of the city and the people in general. So it was a very pleasant surprise for me to be welcomed the way that I was and the type of dialogue that we had in the classroom. So these are mature, young adult seniors. And, we started the presentation off with, I'm a black girl from Viter. And just put it on the table. Like, we're not the same, and we're from the same place. We face a lot of the same issues being from a small town, things like that. But I think that it really opened it up, kind of took the edge off that, we acknowledged that we are different, but also the way that we talked about race, the way that we talked about other cultures, the way that we talked about them respecting Islam. Like, those kids were, I asked them what they knew about the Middle East and Islam, and they said, the first thing was like terrorist and just violent and restrictive, and there weren't any positive things coming back. And so that let me know one thing, that we have to engage in conversations. So it's not to say, okay, let's label a place or label a kid or label a race and say, okay, well, they wouldn't get it or they don't understand. Okay, they don't, so let's talk about it. So I spent about 20 minutes talking about what Islam is, the similarities between it and Christianity, the people, things like that. So I just have really been thinking a lot about that and how I want to approach race with my kids.